just restricted from spending a lot more time in the midfield with his knee problems.
I think he's going to have a good look at him tonight, actually. How's the versatility of Fletcher to play on a guy like that, the Brownlow medalist? In the middle, very aggressive Paddy Ryder knock to start things off. Cramery kicking into the face almost of Boyd, and Markovic got caught with it. Howlett, absolute goer for the Bombers, seen a lot of them, and he is Mr. Consistency. Kick into the middle is cut off by Jones, and now Hardingham, Ryder and Howlett all combine at half-back to try and work a way through. Hibberd was involved as well. Now Howlett from inside the centre square, one-on-one. Jetta and Murphy out the back door. Jetta did well. Oh, he sold some magnificent foot candy there. Couldn't quite complete it.
Yeah, nice move to turn Robert Murphy inside out. Not something that happens too often. Expecting the Bulldogs to be competitive tonight, Richo. They'll probably, in the end, you would expect, just with the class of Essendon, get overrun. But they have, throughout the year, the way they are coached, it's all about really attacking the footy hard.
Eastonwood loves to run with the ball. I want to see more of it when he does get it. Wood, short ball to Hargrave, back in the side. They'll welcome his return. Here's Clay Smith, game 8 for him. Little kick down, Ryder. Instrumental already in this game, Paddy.
Yeah, he didn't do a lot last week. Kicked that big goal that kept the Bombers in it, but in the action early.
Courtney Dempsey, one of my favourites, got it into this man here, Reamers, low ball. Hurley had to bend. Hargrave under pressure, did it well. Markovic and Lake combined. They'll welcome back Markovic as well. They like his steadiness in the back half. Dalhouse, Ryan Griffin just on the wing, inching it forward. Cooney presents, good movement by the Dogs. Dalhouse, the long man there. Campbell led in the wrong direction. Cooney, a real rocket little handball into Dalhouse. Dempsey did well to get back and cut it off.
Well, Adam Cooney's certainly moving okay early. Led up with the football really well there, and he's just a terrific player, obviously a Brownlow medalist, and very smart use there. Just waited to the last possible minute and drew Dalhouse back into the play with a handball.
The call on Big Tom Campbell was right, BT. Just led to the wrong spot the second gamer.
Made it too hard for the right footer heading to the boundary to go up the corridor, didn't he?
They're just experimenting with different lineups in that forward line at the moment.
Liam Picken on screen there, Richo. I think he's playing a defensive role on Dyson Hempel tonight, which is a bit of a surprise.
Boyd, fast hands, Wood. Bringing up his work from the back half. Quick hands cross. Great Dalhouse. 45. Didn't get enough of it. Gave them a chance, though, the Dogs. Off hands. Well done. Jakey Carlisle. Hasn't he been fantastic for a young, basically first-year player?
Me.
Dempsey. Heppel.
Play on.
Love watching the Bombers use the ball by foot. They are so talented. Hibberd. Wide to Cramery. Markovic did well in the end, tidying it up. Wood. And Hargrave, half-back. They love his versatility, Hargrave. He can play tall, small, loose.
Yeah, he's been a really reliable player for the Bulldogs now for in excess of a couple of hundred games. Had some injury troubles, but they really need him in their defensive setup every week.
Hooker, the only one didn't have in a man. That suggests to me they want him to kick the ball as much as possible. And here he is. They all peel off and allow him to kick it. And he proves them wrong as Stanton gets on the end of it. Long driving ball. Stood tall, Lake.
He's an outstanding one-on-one with Mark Brian Lake. Very few defenders would be brave enough to do what he did just then. And that's out-Mark Hurley in that spot on the ground.
15
That's what they can't do, the Dogs. You cannot let Dustin Fletcher run his own race there at half-back. And at the moment, he's just patrolling that half-back line without an opponent.
Keepy-off football being played here at the moment. Here's the inspirational skipper, some say on current form the best skipper in the league, or one of them. Many others would argue. A lot of them around.
It's just about the best player in the league at the moment, BT, Joe Watson.
This man had a season-high possessions last week. Myers, 28 of them. Reamers traps, gets a look, little bit too much bend on it. Maybe the straighten up drop punt there.
You boys touched on Joe Watson. We all thought that Liam Picken might have got the job on him. It appears as though the two ball magnets are playing on each other. Boyd and Watson are going to go head-to-head. That'll be interesting to watch tonight.
It looks as if Picken is on Stanton now, actually, BT.
Okay. Boys all over it here on Saturday Night Football. Dalhouse, eyes light up as he sees space and time and inches it to Cooney. Too far out to score. Poor kick around the body by Cooney in the end. Hocking.
Play on.
Crammery got a runner in Hill, ignores that, goes with his own left. I reckon he had a bit of a pop shot then and was in two minds with Jetta inside. He apologises downfield and Jetta said, get it back in the corridor.
Yes, they haven't quite got the job done on the rebound yet, but they look so dangerous at half-back Essendon. When they turn the footy over there with their leg speed and run and their kicking ability, they can score super quickly.
Opportunity here for Hill, being preferred over Tom Bell-Chambers at the moment in this team. Torre forced to concede. In fact, I think he's got him for holding the ball. Gee, that is a quick whistle. A really quick whistle.
Well, there's been a lot of discussion throughout the week on the fact that incorrect disposal of the footy has disappeared as a rule. I get the feeling a little memo's been sent around to the umpires. Hey, we need to still enforce that rule because that wouldn't have been paid a week ago.
Stay here with me.
It's probably technically a correct decision by little law.
He did have prior opportunity. Watch for the play on out to the left here. Look how close Hargrave is. Supposed to be 5 metres. I reckon he's within about 3 or 4 there. Jetta undecided. He settles on the right foot banana. It's the way he goes and hits the timber work.
Yeah, I thought he may have backed himself in on his left leg there. Went with the right foot banana. Yeah, that was definitely a free kick to the letter of the law. So maybe they are going to be more stringent tonight on that.
OK, apologies there. Good call to the umpire. Higgins, the runner Murphy, needs to use the ball cleanly. Jones presents in front of Hooker, and that's nearly 50. Gee, that was close.
Good to see him getting involved early, Liam Jones. Needs a big game.
Oh, good play there. Double back little presentation by Dixon. And he'll line up on a fairly acute angle.
Been a bit of a revelation, this man. Tory Dixon. He's kicked 4 goals twice this year.
Noble Park boy, I think, is he?
10 goals for the year.
It's good overhead for a medium-sized player.
8-2 from set shots there, Dar, so he's accurate.
Yep. Fitted in very nicely. And their issue has been their forward structure, BT. They've really struggled.
So here is Dixon for the first goal of the game. And he sprayed that one across the face. In fact, hasn't got the journey in the end. Jones very nearly marked it. Minson almost crashed his way, see. Good to see him back since his enforced layoff.
Yeah, they need him back out there. He was having a good year. Will Minson obviously had the week off. Turned it over here.
Horrible kick in. Boyd's got time to straighten front the goal and should drill it home, but he's hit the timber work.
4 touches already for Matty Boyd, going head-to-head with Jobe Watson tonight. I reckon that's a good move. It's hard to tag a player like Jobe Watson.
Good crowd in tonight for Saturday night footy here as Hill gets down low and going back to the very back row on the top deck.
Like his return last week, BT, quite have his touch as you'd expect, but it just looked dangerous. 50-metre against Will Minson there.
Yep.
A little unlucky because it was definitely a play on. The umpire hadn't called it, and you heard him say he stepped into the area.
Protected area, yeah.
So it's Watson who swung around, and Will has put a fingernail in, and that is always going to be 50.
Right there.
So Watson, the recipient, the beneficiary of that 50. Gee, that's a great little kick over the top. Almost got it to Myers. Cooney with just the one hand. Doesn't he look smooth and incredibly capable?
He looks lively early, BT.
He
Good
does.
sign for him.
Yep, Sherman. We're going to have a close look at him today, and perhaps even the ISO camera at half-time might just have a real good look at Adam Cooney. Lingy's all over that, and what particularly you're looking for, Lingy?
I really want to see whether Cooney's got that explosion. We love it when he takes the game on and explodes through the middle of the ground. That's when he's at his best.
Here's Crammery. Talk about explosive. Got through one, went without it. Hargrave didn't panic to Lake, and vice versa. Little give and go.
Saw Crammery kick one of the goals of the year last week, BT, running towards goal, taking a bounce as the ball set up perfectly. That one just didn't come back at all there.
No, it didn't. Hill and, as I say, the three-way combination, Ryder, Hill and Bell-Chambers, and it does appear the coaching staff at Essendon prefer Hill in form over Bell-Chambers in form.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I rate Bell-Chambers. I think his development was very impressive as it's turned over. Griffin chance to score.
A little wobbler inside. Jake Carlisle should get back and cut this off. And he does without competition. Almost as if he's going to take the kick in. Did he actually? Surely not. Hibbert.
It's pretty laconic, that.
That looked like he thought it was a behind and he was taking the kick. It confused me anyway.
Hey, have a look at the Hurley glove. Live and interactive we are. We're getting a lot of feedback there. Stu Herbans texted in and tweeted in. Lady Gaga called and she wants her glove back, Michael Hurley. Brad says it reminds him of Darth Vader. Dogs better look out for the invisible chokehold with Hurley. It's a pretty large brace he's got himself around the left wrist there, Richard.
He must have some serious issues with that wrist, though, because there's a lot of taping under there.
Saturday night footy, always, as Dar says, live and interactive. Here's Dempsey.
You didn't go to, you might have gone to Lady Gaga through the week, BT.
I'm not really a Gaga person, Richo.
He would have looked magnificent at a Gaga concert.
Yeah, well, unusual customer, Gaga. Stanton, Dempsey and Fletcher all combining. They set up that triangle. Look at that. The hammering ball to Heppel, who probably should have marked that in the end. Higgins, one that really, I think, needs to... Haven't seen a lot of improvement from Higgins, I reckon, over a 2-year period now, Das. Why do you think that is so?
100th game tonight for Sean Higgins. He's a player that always rated internally very highly. He had some health issues, had some injury issues, and then has just had a period now, I reckon you're right, where he's probably just stalled in his development. Always was pegged as a future leader. I think now's really make or break time for Sean Higgins. Is he going to be a great player, or is he going to be a solid player who plays 150 games?
108 goals, and that's a bit of a whack in the face. Accidental, I reckon, from Addison. Facial contact, says one of the most officious umpires in the comp, Dean Margetts, but it's right.
Yeah, look, it did. He had the 2 touches on it, so Addison thought he still had a play on the ball there.
That's right, for sure, isn't it?
Yeah.
Addison giving away the free, and Hurley
Brian, 2 metres
on the lead.
Thank you.
Now this is the left to right little slider from this quadrant.
And the glove will be interesting here, Richo, because a lot of players chose not to wear a glove for this reason alone, is you don't get a great feel on the ball when you're kicking it, and that is taking up all the majority of his left hand. You can see him fiddling with the ball here.
Many couldn't kick it with a glove because, as you say, you just don't get that sensation of a good grip. Hurley kick on the way. There it comes back. Look at the left to right slide. It is the quadrant where it does that all the time.
Well, he's kicked the first goal again tonight, Michael Hurley, and he did take that ball on his chest. He didn't want to take it out in front of his hands, so he does have an issue there. But if you're going to lead hard and straight at the football like that and get out in front, you at times can take it on your chest, and he timed that beautifully. Beautiful kick too, as BT called. Always swings left to right down this end.
So back here, 9:44 remaining. Have a look at the shakes on that goal umpire. What's going on there? A bit of the shivers. Is he cold, Das?
He was just a really ripped goal umpire who was just flexing a touch as it went through.
Boy, Stanton out of the middle. Bombers get the first, and there's an opportunity at the second, and that's got to be 50 metres. Has to be 50 metres. He's pulled him to the ground, umpire.
Look, Markovic tried to do the right thing playing in front, but most forwards would be comfortable in that position. What's their hands in the back there? Crameri looked a little bit guilty. He looked around at the umpire to see, look, we've seen a lot less paid.
But BT's right. If you tackle him after he's taken the mark, it has to be 50.
Yep, spot on.
Here's Crameri from 25 metres out. Not a lot of angle about it. Bombers, good start. 2 consecutive goals.
They are nervous forwards these days, aren't they, with any sort of hand contact. And even though it was pretty innocuous, you were right, Richo. He had that guilty look, almost saying, please don't pay it against me. I've got hold of the footy. And I think that was the correct decision there for Crameri. He was in the right spot, held his line. I reckon that's fair enough, Stewie Crameri. He's a player that I've got huge regard for.
There they are in the top deck, and it's fairly heavily populated on a Saturday night, so a really good Saturday night crowd here. In an Essendon home game tonight.
Be over 40, do you reckon?
Yep.
So be close.
Around the 40, absolutely, Richard. Perhaps just over. Good crowd.
It's their average crowd here. 41,923 is their average.
Have a look at this. Hocking just steals it and goes for home, and just to the right-hand side.
Well, that man, Heath Hocking, he's got the job on Ryan Griffin. We know how good Griffin is, but each week Hocking's doing his job, and he's allowing those quality Essendon on-ballers to just play their game because he locks away an opponent, does a terrific job. I think if you can add that to his game where he kicks a couple of goals, that takes him to another level as far as tagging goes.
Fast becoming Lingy's love child, Heath Hocking. Stay tuned. He loves him. He reminds Lingy of himself a lot.
Just get the feeling in a 10-possession game he's going to be all over him and present the Robert Comp TV to him.
Got to look after the taggers, boys.
Picken, you'll be out there having a party with this man Picken as well. He just loves all the negative players in the game as Lingy. Here's Carlisle. Went past the ball. Jones tackled by Dempsey. Dalhouse. Mickey Turner dressed him up at the national draft camp and sold him. No one else wanted him, Das.
Lukey Dalhouse.
Yep.
What a selection he's been to. He's a real cult hero. I love the way he goes about it, Dalhouse, Richo.
He's almost a barometer for them now in a short amount of time. Whenever he's getting involved, the Dogs seem to be playing their best footy.
It's like Mickey Turner also, I believe, dressed up Cameron Ling, made his shorts longer and got him to pull his socks up to make him look a bit taller and a bit smarter.
That myth has grown that many legs, BT. It's all a load of nonsense.
He's taking the fight there.
Hasn't he?
He was the big full forward down at the Falcons, Lingy, wasn't he?
Markovic out wide. He was. Richo quite right. Here's Myers. Jeddah. There was a hold. Go to the Bombers.
Grab his jumper. Ryan!
I don't want this one to get away from here, the Bulldogs.
They need a goal just to steady now.
Turns 23 today. Myers. Through the middle. Stanton. Cramry wanting the free. Here comes Hurley. Hovering around the ball at the moment. The Bombers. Howlett come and got it. Gave it off to Hurley. What does he do? Looks inside. Didn't have time. Watson. Boyd. Slipped the Boyd tackle. Mounting pressure here from the Bombers.
Boy, look at Stewie Crammer. He's lost his boot there in that marking contest. That kick from Stanton that went inside 50 about 20 seconds ago, he would have marked it, but his boot came off as he tried to jump.
He's allowed to put it back on the umpire set, and he'll give him the time to do that on top of his 30 seconds to kick the goal. And he has got the left to right slide going again here from this position.
Does it favour? It doesn't really favour a left footer though, this side, does it?
No, it's not. It's probably different from the left footer. You're probably right, Richo. Thank you. Saving me there. 7 minutes to go in the quarter. Bombers have kicked a couple. Crammery on the left. Kick on the way. Nicely measured. 3 straight for the Bombers.
Well, that was a beautiful kick off the boot from Crammer. He's having an outstanding year. He did have a couple of quieter weeks leading into the Fremantle game last week, but an outstanding season. He's number 3 in the competition for scoreboard impact. That means goals and goal assists. He's been outstanding this year.
A little bit of a limp up here, Crammery, I think. Check in with the doc.
So Crammery coming to the bench there. Doc Larkins, what do you think?
He's definitely limping, Brian, as he's come through. He landed awkwardly, and Doc Reed's just about to have a chat with him. I know he kicked the goal, but he was always coming off. The physio was waiting for him after the kick. I'll get back to you, Brian.
Doc Reed talking there now. By the way, Brian Scutt says, what's the significance of the goal umpire's flags being orange this week? It's part of Multicultural Week. That's what the orange flags represent. Live and interactive. Here's Heppel, Hardingham and Watson combining. The finisher is Hocking. Heppel. Great tackle in the end by Sherman. The rundown was impressive.
Joe Watson up to a lazy 10 disposals already, going head-to-head with Matthew Boyd, who's got 7.
There's the big fella forward, Campbell, just in game 2. Back down to you, Doc, on Crammery.
He's gone down the race, Brian. Looks like the left ankle and shin region. They were going to examine him, but they've taken him downstairs.
Just having a look at this again now, Doc.
Watch the left side as he comes.
Yeah, he got trod on. Markovic trod on his left Achilles and heel there.
Might be just a stud damage or cleat damage. As we have a bit of a stalemate here. Umpire pulls one out.
on it, dragged it in.
There you go, good description by the umpire. Howlett to the middle. The angle of that kick had to be spot on. It was. Dempsey to Melksham. Melksham to Hurley. Dropped a sitter. Jeddah. Able to spin in the tackle. Still had the awareness. Hurley goes long. He likes it. Offline.
They didn't finish off with a goal there, the Bombers, but they are fantastic at taking the ball through the corridor. That kick on the 45-degree angle up the middle of the ground creates so much of their forward play. They link up on the back of it and get some dangerous entries.
Off hands, Picken. Right near the interchange gates, just on the line, that ball.
I think that's why they're such an exciting team to watch, Essendon, because they are prepared to come into the corridor most of the time. They're third in the comp for corridor play, and that's why they can score really quickly.
Great palm down there from Campbell off the back, but not being able to make the most of it. Higgins, Lonigan really hard at it, so is Boyd. Watson now did well. Look at the strength to get rid of that legally, was well done. Heppel out the back. Here's Hibbert. Just chisels that magnificent kick under pressure from Hibbert.
Oh, they're out everywhere here too, the Bombers, if David Hill moves it on.
Yeah, and he sees Melksham down the ground. Melksham will line it up. What does he do? He says, I'll go for home, and have a look at that. Talk about split the middle. Bombers 4 in a row on fire.
Great finish from Jakey Melksham. Around on a bit of an arc, and he punched it low. And summed up well by David Hill. The Bulldogs' defence got sucked up, got cleaned up out the back. Brilliant start here for the Bombers.
Stewie Cramer, he went down to the rooms. He's already back on the ground, but big centre bounce here for the Western Bulldogs. They need a clearance, only 4 inside 50s. They've had 3 goalless quarters for the year. They need a goal desperately, need to win this clearance.
I reckon James Hurd was asking Cramery how he is then, Gas. Do you think it was as simple as that?
It's as simple as that. The coach sometimes likes to hear it from the horse's mouth, and hopefully the feedback was that, yeah, I'm right to go.
I guess they're a little scared about risking, aren't they, with their history of injuries this year, with Monfries going down again last week. Inside they go again, 4 in a row. Not looking good for the Dogs here at the moment. Over the turn, Hurley got the bender. This will go end over end magnificently. What great control of the ball. Bombers 5 in a row.
He's so explosive. Just get really excited about what he's capable of. Last week, his best performance from a goal-kicking tally perspective. He strings together enough impact. He's going to be a star, Michael Hurley.
What was good about that, Darcy? He came out, gathered the ball at ground level. Wasn't going to do a U-turn. Handballed it off. He did have a look and then turned around and kicked.
Here's Michael Hurley, career best 6 goals last week. Richo against the Dockers. So explosive, so powerful. He's brilliant on either side of his body as well. Yet to kick multiple goals in consecutive games so far this season. And he's done the job already tonight. That's his second.
Watson here in the middle.
The clearance is out of control. 10-2. They just can't get their hands on it.
Big stab. Hurley was great to howl it. Look at that. That's why people like watching the Bombers.
That's just great football. They win the ball in the contested situation. They spread so quickly and just not getting any pressure on through the middle of the ground at the moment, the Western Bulldogs. And if you give players that amount of time and space to deliver inside 50, your forwards are going to mark it all day long. And Paddy Ryder just had too much space to lead into there, and the midfielder had too much time to deliver. Pretty hard to stop.
You're 1 more metre on the line.
That's just clean footy. We're right behind this one with Paddy Ryder as well. And there's another one that split the middle. 6 unanswered Essendon goals. Unbelievable start for the Bombers. Hurley's got a couple. Cramery's got a couple.
Yeah, super impressive. They have absolutely come and got out of the blocks in superb nick. Let's take a look at this and have a look at Paddy Ryder. Bottom of screen. Post to Brian Lake. Great leg speed. Just a little more switched on there, Richo. And Lake found himself with a gap and ripping finish as well.
Brian Lake, saw him do that last week.
Yeah, on the mark. Yeah, he's unusual, Brian.
But he just gave Paddy Ryder too much room there to lead. He had no touch on Paddy Ryder, and he backed his pace to stay with him. But
great look from the 7 cameras there from that behind the goals look too.
Yeah, Jason Stones just tweeted in, really impressed with Essendon's leg speed this opening quarter. They look lightning fast, Jason. Couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, they love this track. Here's Carlisle.
And they're just winning it back at half-back, and their transition play is as good as anyone. The Dogs can't get any entries to go deep inside 50 and lock it in there. It's just coming out far too easily.
Bombers have won 12 of their last 14 under Herd at this ground. They love the venue, suits their game, their skill. Love working the angles on the kick. And there's Hocking to Lonigan. That is just a sensational kick to Jetta. Really impressive. Jetta now to the fat side, space for Paddy. Paddy Ryder marks well within range.
He's got Brian's head spinning at the moment, Richard. I can see you shaking your head because look at that. He's now tried to play in front, but he's turned his back, totally took his eye off the ball, Richard.
Look, Paddy Ryder would be absolutely wrapped with that. Seeing a defender standing 3 or 4 metres in front of you, looking at you, just that's easy if you want to play full forward and lead at the football. He'd be wrapped with that. He's got to get some touch on him, Brian.
To become the 3rd multiple goal kicker in this first quarter for the Bombers. Paddy Ryder inching, good kick, bends it nicely. 2 to Paddy as well. So 2 goals to Cramry, 2 to Hurley and 2 to Ryder.
It wouldn't hurt the defenders, though, if the ball was coming in a little higher and longer, because there is absolutely no pressure coming on through that midfield at all, and it does make it hard for the defence. So it's not all Brian Lake's fault down there, but got to get some sort of heat on the midfielders.
Now, Richo's a man who kicked close to 1,000 goals. Tell me what you're thinking here when a defender turns his back on you.
Well, you know you've got them done, basically. He's got no idea where the ball is, Brian Lake. He's just trying to guess, and if you're a forward, you'd be absolutely wrapped with that.
Oh, Paddy Ryder kicking the last 2.
You need them to be putting some body on you, like trying to disrupt you the way you want to lead into the football.
A whopping 45-point margin.
Richo, I reckon you'd be pretty wrapped as a forward too if your team had 15 entries to 4 in the first quarter. Nice bit of ball use coming into him.
Yeah, that has been fantastic, Lingy. There's Liberatore kicking it forward. Here's Watson, handball under pressure, and now Carlisle. So we've just got 1:34 remaining in the quarter.
And this has been the Bulldogs' real problem all year, is that they have got a seriously inexperienced forward line. They're relying on Liam Jones. Jordan Ruffhead's a sub tonight. Ace Cordy has been dropped, but they aren't really at a stage where they can develop their forward line just yet. But tonight they just haven't been competitive at all, Brian.
Boyd short to Jones, one-hander. He's able to glove it.
Right there, that's a mark.
Probably out of range.
This is the kick now. They need to get it in deep and try and lock it in here.
Well, he's gone on the head of Dalhouse. The big fella's arriving as well. Minson arrived late and was able to take the mark in the end, basically directly in front.
Well, that's what happens. If you put it 15 metres out from goal, the defenders are under the pump, and that was a good contested mark by Big Will. Just worked David Hill under the ball, and
Hill appealing for the free, and the umpire saying no. So a chance to kick their first in the last half minute of the first quarter here, the Dogs. Try and stem the bleeding. Go back in at quarter time and try and restructure a formula that'll give them a win in the second quarter. Minson comes in, and boy, I think he's got it. He has just snuck it in for the first Dog goal at the 28-minute mark of the first quarter. And now a 39-point Essendon lead. Minson and the Dogs getting their first, so a little bit of a push front on there, so well done in the body work by Minson.
yeah, he got him in the shoulder side, so I think that was okay.
Boys,
Great to see him back. Sorry, Lee, Will Minson, who we know has had some issues, a club suspension last week, but one of the better people you'll come across, Will Minson, and good to see him back in the side tonight.
boys, heading into quarter time, obviously we spoke about Boyd going head-to-head with Joe Watson. Joe Watson's had the ball 14 times. A move's got to be made, surely. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. They've gone head-to-head with Boyd, as you say. Lee Boyd's had it 9, but you can't let Joe Watson go. I don't think they can stop him completely, but on this pace, he's going to have about 60 possessions.
Okay, back in the forward 50 here for the Dogs. An opportunity to score again. Might just run out of time now. As Dixon kicks forward, they will. So a dominating first quarter of football. James Hird would be very happy. On the other side of the break, Lingy will talk with Brendan McCartney, that man there, the coach of the Dogs, and just find out what they've got to do to get things moving here. More to come on the other side of the break. Richo, can the Dogs come back, do you think?
Look, I think the spray they cop, they'll come out and be a lot more competitive in this quarter. But Essendon are a quality team. When they get up and running on this ground, very hard to stop them.
I reckon they can get back. 39 points down, the Bombers. I'm the supreme optimist, I know, Richo.
You've been right a few times this year. I'll give you that, Brian.
You like to will them back into business here, and all they need is a 3-goal win in this quarter and halve the margin, basically. The fend off there was impressive from Howard, centering ball. Jones a little under it. And we'll have a throw in deep.
This is a good opportunity now. They've got a stoppage inside their forward 50. They can set up behind the ball and try and lock it in here and just steady things down and force a goal.
Minson doing the ruck work. Hill. Myers in there battling. Hill confronted by Cooney. Boyd. Myers trying to spin out of trouble. Very dubious little hand pass to Fletcher there. And you're right, Richo. They now start to press up a little harder, the Dogs.
Yeah, they can just get competitive here, lock it in, get some body on, and just make Essendon work hard to get the ball out.
Hocking stole the ball out of Boyd's hands, basically. Play on, Liberatore, fast hands. He's very good at that. Dalhouse through the middle. Addison, little kick, wouldn't have been the required journey. Cross. Minson. Ricochet, ping-pong footy going on here. Dempsey, he'll get a free. Immediately does, and can they get it over the top of that press? Dogs run back, numbers are with the Bombers. Well done, Markovic, on that occasion. I think it was Markovic, was it?
Yeah, it was indeed, BT, and if he hadn't, they were out and about to score the first of the second quarter again, the Bombers.
Really brave stuff, and now Dalhouse reaps the benefit at the other end.
The first time they've had repeat inside 50s tonight.
Left to right slider, but he's going out on the hooking motion here. There it is. It starts to slide to the right now. I'm amazed that players haven't picked that up at this ground. We've been playing footy here for a while now.
It was just out of his range, Dalhouse, and it's the worst kick in footy, the one that lands 1 metre out from goal. Very easy to rush through. Give you the Bombers. Just needed to be top of the goal square, probably.
Hill. Fletcher, who tonight becomes the 8th all-time with John Blakey on 359 matches. Not bad, is it?
That was an unusual thing for Fletcher to do there, wasn't it? 10 metres out, under not a lot of pressure. He just casually socked one off the ground.
Just saving the hammies.
I think he couldn't be bothered picking it up, basically.
All knocked down here by Griffin. Dalhouse got on the end of it. And once again pushed over the boundary line by Hardingham.
Well, here's the hit. Dylan Addison was blindsided and ran into Stewie Cramry. Nothing really to worry about there. Bit of incidental contact from Cramry. Bit of shoulder to the face, but I think that one will be okay. They've done. Cooney burst through there and jammed it into the goalpost for a score. They've done what you wanted, Richo. The Bulldogs have trapped it inside forward 50 for a sustained period of time. Now they just need reward for effort. They nearly got the goal there through Cooney, but they need another repeat 50 and a score just to get their confidence up.
Fletcher. Risky little kick. Hardingham was pursued by Griffin.
The Bulldogs have certainly lifted their intensity at the start of the second quarter and spent 10 years under Brendan McCartney, him as an assistant coach. And if I was the Bulldogs boys, I'd be making sure I put my head over the footy and made sure the Essendon players didn't get any easy, uncontested ball. He's very firm on the basic parts of the game, the contested footy, defensive skills. I'd be doing them as well as I possibly could.
Now, he's gone down the bench to emphasise a few points there now, and it's coaching from the bench, which is unusual for him, Fletcher, and he concedes an out of bounds on the full.
But at Wendy's tweeted in, McCartney seems gutted by that first quarter. Had no answers for Lingy. I think we just lost audio a little bit there, but he was pretty gutted, that's for sure.
Dalhouse, high ball, Hardingham kills it.
Macca knows that he's got a young group that he's got to teach how to play the game, but there's certain things that he just expects from this group, and that's the attack on the footy and a defensive side. If they're not doing that, he would be absolutely gutted.
hands. Cramery almost handed the ball over to D'Olio. First time I've seen him in the game. D'Olio, in just his 4th game of footy, played pretty well last week in Perth against the Dockers for the Bombers.
Starting to get a few more numbers to the contest there. You saw a lot of support. You look up, there's a lot of red, white, and blue jumpers around that one, lending some support to the defence. And hard to explain why you wouldn't be switched on at the start of the game, but there are some signs that they have got it together here.
Gee, the opposite in clearance. Bulldogs are 15th ranked team in clearances in the comp. Bombers are number 1 in the first quarter, 11-5. They're dominating in the category that they're number 1 in the competition at the moment, Bombers. And that's a free to Hardingham against Cooney.
It's just clumsy and not smart. You had to make sure that footy came to ground there from Sherman without giving away a free kick.
Reamers into the middle. High ball for Hocking. Made it difficult. Heppel couldn't control it. Here comes Liberatore. Did really well. Great play, Tom Liberatore. Boyd gets a bit of a look. Decides to have a bounce. Cooney's got to do it against Fletcher. The body work was impressive. Couldn't quite hang on. Reamers tidies up to Dempsey.
Well, Jobe Watson just come to the bench then. Liam Picken has got the job in him now, so they've decided to go with a tag on Jobe.
Howlett to D'Olio. Grabs possession of the ball. Runs inside 50. Needs to bend it the other way. Hills marked it on the line. Runs around. Plays on the right boot. Snap goal missed. Hooked it too far.
Once again, that really effective, dangerous kick right into the centre of the ground. It just splits this Bulldog defence wide open and great scoring opportunity. D'Olio ran for 15 metres on his own inside 50. It's almost unheard of.
But just such an easier job for a forward. If the ball's coming through the corridor, you've got so many more options of where to lead. If it's coming in one side of the ground, it limits where you can lead. So the forwards would be wrapped with that. Seeing the ball in the corridor opens up that whole 50 for you to lead into.
Hargrave at the point of that triangle to distribute the ball either left or right. Here's Addison. That kick is not good either. Gives Hurley a chance. In fact, he gobbles it up. Heppel's got to get away from Wood. He needs Hurley help. Trying to soccer it. Well done, Easton Wood. Really good stuff.
Yeah, great effort there from Easton Wood. And Dylan Addison, who's a really brave, accountable, tough player, but not a great kick. So you play within your limitations. You try to kick a 50-metre pass with a very high margin for error. He's just got to chip the short one and give it to someone else who can use it a bit better.
Do what you're capable of, Das, is what you're saying, and not anything that you can't achieve 9 out of 10 times.
I think good sides, players know their role really well.
Yeah.
And we've seen, I rate what James Hurd's doing at Essendon at the moment. The hard in and under players are doing their role. They've got the runners in Stanton on the outside and Winderlick and good balance in the way they play the game, the Bombers.
Why do you think Brendan McCartney has gone down onto the bench there, Lingy?
Knowing Macca, I reckon he'd want to look at the whites of the eyes of his players and make sure they're taking in the message and not just on the phone and not listening properly. He wants to educate them in a situation like this, how they've got to improve. He wants to know they're taking it all on board.
Dalhouse. Big fella Campbell up over the top. Couldn't quite hang on. Heppel pursued by a couple. Cross. What do I do? They're all fronting me. Jones. Chiseling ball. Cooney one-on-one with Fletcher. This has been going on for most of the game so far, and happy to let it go over a hooker.
And boys, the move has been made. Picken is now going to Jobe Watson. Too big a first quarter from Jobe, so they've sent Picken to him.
16 touches so far, 14 of those, I think, in the first quarter, as you mentioned.
Right there, that's your mark. Play on.
Thus the move. Hardingham says to Stanton, that away. Carlisle's the target. He's got nothing wide. He can go short to Melksham now if he wants. Gee, ignored that for a little too long in my liking. Eventually found it. Gee, that's soft to allow Melksham to play on like that. There's Stanton in full flight. Little ball inside is good to Hurley. Look good when they move it quickly. Hurley now short ball. D'Olio needs sticky hands. Got him.
Sticky hands, all right. That was a fantastic mark. He's not tall.
Here's the manning of the mark situation that BT picked up, Richo. It's that young Howard. You can't allow a player just to waltz around inside. It just breaks the whole system down. It's a basic of the game. Have to be better at that.
And that's why Hurley was able to just lead into the footy, because when you play on quickly, it doesn't give anyone, the defenders, time to set up properly, and it makes it easy for the forwards.
to Olio. About 40 metres for the flight of the ball. He nails it and kicks the goal. Bombers get the first goal in the second quarter.
Doing it at will here tonight, the Bombers. Out to a 44-point margin. They're just able to sieve their way through the Bulldog defence. They run from halfback all the way through inside 50 has just been unbelievable.
Just interesting. Have a listen to this. Umpire calls play on. So one umpire called play on. This is in the first quarter. One umpire said 50 metres. Now, that's very confusing. Happened in the first quarter. Didn't amount to much at the end, but one umpire saying one umpire saying the other. What do you do in that situation? Griffin, long.
Well, it's the wrong call. He did play on, so therefore Minson couldn't have encroached on the area, so it shouldn't have been a 50.
Thanks to Kieran Kim for making us aware of that. Sent a tweet in saying, have a listen to it. You're dead right. Well done. Fletcher driving ball on. Getting back is Easton Wood.
How's that? Picked up at home, but we're sitting here and we didn't pick up on it. Just we're going beautifully, aren't we?
Very sharp viewers, Richo. Free kick here will go the way of the Bombers to Kyle Harding-Ham, boy from Cogen up in Western Australia.
I'm feeling Justin Sherman has had a very crucial stage in his career and maybe playing for his future, and he's given away a couple of soft free kicks tonight that won't help.
Jeddah marks inside 50. Distance will test him though. He's looking to pass off here, and he does. Goes into Reamers. Dogs were caught napping.
Yeah, that is something that will frustrate Brendan McCartney no end. If you're getting beaten around the foot in, the more experienced, better teams beating you, he could live with that. But basics like that, he will be absolutely fuming at.
By the way, the Bombers kicked 6-1 in the first quarter from set shots. And that's an area that James Hird and the team have been working on. And here is Kyle Big Time Reamers.
What does this one do, BT?
This one goes a little left to right if it's long enough in the tail, Richo. Reamers comes in, kick on the way straight. Very nice indeed from Kyle.
Well, it's just a little bit too easy at the moment. The amount of marks that they've been able to take inside forward 50, it's just far too easy. 7 already for the match, so they're on target to have well over 20 marks inside 50 for a game. That doesn't happen very often, and that just shows you it's a combination of poor pressure from the midfield, been saying it all night, and the defenders not having touch on the forwards. Too easy.
So didn't get to see this. We're in the replay of another one, and that is what happened. The pass from Jeddah was able to get it to there, the Reamers, and the goal. So back in the middle, Bombers continue to dominate here in the second quarter out. Now up by a game-high 50 points. While Reamers getting his first of the night. He's one that's fighting for survival in this team. Higgins. He's smothered there by Campbell. He gets the handball back from Dalhouse. Good skills, big man to big man, and good jukes by Minson in front of hooker.
Well.
Did that well. Big Will pushed hooker away and protected the space, and then got his jukes out.
Short ball. And so working it forward to Griffin now. Griffin can hoof the ball, and I reckon this is within his range.
Yeah, I think he could be able to kick this distance-wise. He's got an unusual approach to goal-kicking, Ryan Griffin. He almost treats it as though he is just playing normally without a real particular routine.
It's right up to that 50-metre line and a little close to the man on the mark in Hocking, and he had a piece of it, and now out of defence, free kick Bombers here. Melksham the recipient.
I think he pointed out about the basics of the game that would be frustrating Brendan McCartney as a coach. They're just making silly errors. That was a push in the back given away there. It wasn't needed. We saw Christian Howard manning the mark or not manning the mark, and all the little things. The Bombers are just so much sharper.
Through the middle, Dempsey, he has great skill. He missed Hill on that occasion. Hargrave, a couple of Dogs here combining to just steady this up. Murphy now.
Gee, it's just a free-flowing game. Hardly any stoppages. It's just all kick mark at the moment.
Dixon, long to the advantage of Jones and Minson. Minson marks, great kick, but good use by the Dogs.
It's just circle work out there at the moment. 62 marks already for Essendon. I mean, that's a lot of marks in not even, 1.5 quarters just.
They just got caught out the Bomber halfbacks there, almost just saying, hey, this is the easiest night we've ever had on our terms. I'll run off, not worry about picking up our man. And maybe there is an opening for the Bulldogs. If they can get it right, perhaps they can sieve them back the other way.
Minson, point-blank range, shouldn't miss and does not miss. He has the only 2 goals for the Dogs.
It's been okay, Big Will. 2 marks inside 52 goals. Took that other mark on hooker just a couple of minutes ago. So he is the lone target up forward at the moment for the Bulldogs, and it is a problem for them going forward. They're trying to develop some young forwards at the moment. They're rotating different players through there. Picking, Roughhead, sorry. Cordy's been dropped this week.
Don't miss that tonight. Opportunity here for the Dogs for the first time in the game to kick consecutive goals. Ryder, Campbell was there as well. Lonigan, that's a throw. Good tackle. Pickens ball, said the umpire. Can they go back to back? Here's the lead of Minson again. They sandwich him 2-on-1, swatting the ball down. Cooney gathers, kicks around the corner. In the end, missed the lot.
At least Minson's providing them an opportunity to contest, and a bigger frame body. He's kicked the only 2 goals in the game, and there was a nice little front and centre for Cooney, just on the back of having a big forward target. The problem is they actually need him to take some ruck work as well, Big Will.
Picken. Hardingham. Murphy will get on the end of this and create something for the Dogs, you would think. A lot of pressure coming from behind didn't help him. Not a lot of support. Lonigan around the corner. Gee, that was a good takedown low from Jeddah. Jeddah immediately goes long and deep, looking for Hill. Put it to his advantage. Lake couldn't keep his feet. In comes Hurley. Gathers, runs to goal. Almost took the goal umpire's head off.
There's Jackie Carlisle, who's down. And the trainers appear to be giving the thumbs up, which is good news. And Kyle Reimers I want to highlight, because his chase down on Robert Murphy set this whole passage up. Great stuff, and he gets the okay as well. He's sore, but he's going to remain out on the field.
Michael Hurley mentioned he hadn't kicked multiple goals. He's now got 3. He's done that tonight.
Hey, great stuff here from Kyle Reimers. The chase down on Murphy, who's lightning quick, was sensational. It's a great benefit you get, BT, when you've got competition for spots. He knows he has to do that, Reimers, otherwise he doesn't stay in the side, set up that last goal.
Yeah, good point. Out of the middle. Ball goes forward. Bit of carnage after that collision as well. Players look okay. Down to you, Doc Larkins. What happened?
Yeah, Jake Carlisle's trying to get off the ground. Right knee injury. Can't. The docs and physios have been with him the last 2 minutes on the far side. Ryan Carlisle trying to get off the ground.
Okay, good pick up. Here is Dempsey in the meantime, and Reimers involved in that incident as well. He's recovered and is staying on the deck. Fletcher now comes forward as Carlisle, you can see, making his way off the ground on the bottom of the screen there. Now Meltram into the middle. Hooker. Top of the triangle there. Didn't give Hardingham the kick he wanted. He wanted a mark so he could then keep the defender away. Go back to try and set that up again.
This is one of the few times the Dogs have actually been able to set up a good structure in their defence, and that's why the Bombers are chipping it around.
Hooker, 2 kicks in a row, couldn't get him there, and as the result, the Bombers under pressure. Eventually, Hardingham just kicks it long. Watson's down there. Jeddah, can he kick it off the ground? Well done by Wood.
Essendon are on top in this game in the middle of the ground, as we can clearly see. I wouldn't mind seeing Lukey Dalhouse get in the middle for the Doggies. He's already had 14 touches playing predominantly as a forward. Why not throw him in the middle? Just let him get amongst the action a little bit of liveliness that he brings to the game, and give him a bit of experience in there as well. And I think it would give the Dogs a great lift.
Doc Larkins.
Yeah, Carlisle's gone downstairs, had the right knee ligaments checked out more closely, Brian. Looks like a bit of medial.
Early into Reimers, couldn't hold the mark off hands. Watson thought about it, and in that time, Hargrave had him pinned. Hocking comes in to finish it. Good-looking kick from Hocking.
finish there from Heath Hocking. Bulldog players protesting the tackle on Joe Watson. They thought that it was incorrect disposal. It's a contentious one in the game at the moment, but the result is a goal to Hocking in the Bombers.
.57 lead. Here's the Carlisle injury. Doc Larkins.
Yeah, just still downstairs having the injury assessed, the right knee. Reema's also off having his right knee assessed, so they've got two right knee patients going at once on the Essendon bench, Brian.
You're right about Carlisle on the replay. It looked a little medial, certainly in that area on the inside of the knee. So the Bombers have consolidated by kicking the last two. Here's Higgins. Pursued, gives it off to Minson for his third goal. Misses.
Good to see Sean Higgins go into the middle, win the clearance, then follow it up, give that handball across. They just need more out of him. He's got obvious class, the Bulldogs. He's been around for a while now. His 100th game tonight.
Myers on the run. Couple of bounces. Ball to Watson, who's coming out from deep up forward at the moment. Addison repels. Dempsey to split him and shrug the tackle. Jeddah was just the one hand. Bit of Hollywood about that with Jeddah then. That is the way he plays, though. As Olio is tackled to the ground. So just under 6 minutes remaining in the half, and the Bombers have their biggest lead of the game, 56 points.
There's Joe Watson, who's pushed himself to full forward. Absolutely blew the game apart in the first quarter, 14 disposals, and has had Liam Picken tag him in the second term. Has only been able to get it twice.
So is that a win for Watson or a win for Picken that he's gone to full forward, does?
Well, if the game was closer, I'd be very happy as a Bulldog player to see Watson out of the contest. That's where he does his best work, and I think you know what he's saying to Liam Picken is, I reckon I'm capable of beating you as a forward. Try and defend me at full back.
Yeah. He's got 7 centimetres on him, and we know he can take a mark up forward.
Griffin over the top. Higgins looked to be in controls. Well done by Hardingham, who had highs for the ball. Griffin made him earn it, though. Hardingham, one of those players that just gets the job done week after week for the Bombers. There is Watson.
And Pickett now rolls off, and they've decided that Robert Murphy can take Joe Watson if he's going to stay forward.
Jeddah over the back. Looks so good when he gets the ball. It's a great kick to the advantage of Watson. I thought he probably could have gone at it and almost marked it. Swings around on the left, puts it to the advantage of Ryder. He tried the backhand reverse. Little one-hander then, Paddy. Boy, oh boy, wowee, Paddy. Just two hands will do it this stage as Reema's tidies things up. And oh no, Reema's is high-fiving everyone.
Kyle Reema's enjoying himself out there. A few high fives to the crowd. He's kicked a couple now. He's making the most of his opportunities. He hasn't had a great year. He's been out of the side early. He's been back for a couple of weeks now, kicked a couple of goals. And when your team's playing as well as Essendon, when you do get the chance, you need to make the most of it. He's been solid so far.
One of the great celebrators is Kyle Reema. I reckon we don't see enough with BT. I think why not enjoy yourself? He's gone through.
No, I just wonder
whether
high
fives. Good on him. That's the way he goes about it.
I just wonder whether Hurdy was going to bring him off and have a little chit chat to him.
Well, he's taken the colourful boots off him.
Hurdy coupled a fan here that night. It's all
don't mute him altogether. That's the way he rolls.
Not suggesting that at all, but I'm just suggesting it was wild behaviour given the fact we're not at half time yet. Kick goes forward, hook up. Well done to the young man, and this is another young man, Tom Campbell, that's plucked one up forward within range.
Second game. That's a good contested mark.
Yep.
Well, see what he did there? He just protected. He didn't take it out in front, but because he held his position well in the front there and protected where the ball was going to drop.
Recruited from Essendon's VFL affiliate Bendigo Bombers on debut last week, had 11 disposals, 28 hit-outs, 8 to advantages, 5 clearances, but he has not kicked a career goal. This is it for him. In he comes. His first career goal is there.
Well done to big Tommy Campbell. Big unit, 200 centimetres, close enough to 100 kilos. It's a memorable moment for that young man. He won't forget. Do the Western Bulldogs need it? Getting absolutely hammered here at Etihad Stadium. Very good side.
Campbell kicking his first goal in AFL footy. Have a look at him. He's about to do the big run up in the middle against Hill. He's got a full tank of aggression and energy as a result of that. And he goes and looking for the clearance himself. He wants to do it all. Big boy Campbell.
He had a head of steam up there, Big Gristle. Young Tommy kicked his first goal in AFL football in his second game. And good on him. He'd be pumped about that.
Doc Larkins, boundary side.
Yeah, Robert Murphy with left hamstring troubles, Brian, sitting on the bench at the moment, having a chat to the physios on the Bulldogs bench. High, right up just below the buttock area. You see him on the bench there, just tight.
Well, that would be a disaster, Doc. Their most important player just about.
Look at this. The sub there has decided he is going to warm up, and that is Roughhead sitting right behind Robert Murphy.
Very smart by the sub there. I reckon if anyone comes off a little bit sore, you get up and run around, make sure the coach sees you.
Yeah, well, Murphy looks like he's going to go out and try and give it another go and see what happens. He's standing at the interchange gates at the moment, and he's speaking with the physio. Looks like he wants to test it in the field of action. Ryder, front and centre was Boyd. Dempsey, that half back. So Roughhead continues to warm up as the action continues on the deck, and Griffin and Hocking go at it.
Well, they've had a good win in this second quarter around the stoppages, the Bulldogs, and it's why they've been able to be a little bit more competitive this quarter.
Higgins, so smooth when he runs the ball. Great pick up there by Dixon. He got crunched from this way and that away, and umpire High bombers free. There is Murphy talking to the physio. Just reassuring each other, I guess. And Murphy saying, well, I guess I've got to test it.
Look at Zimmer's Moe there in the background. BT's
that is the moustache, yes. Gary Zimmerman, the doctor down there. Blood rule here as Murphy comes on. He will test it. You saw Gary Zimmerman in the back. He's a long-time doctor at the Dogs with that moustache.
He's been there forever, hasn't he?
Comes off. He looks after all the muscle stuff. And Jakey Landsberg, the other doctor, coughs, colds and sore holes. Jakey.
It's a great combination, those two. There he is. He looks a bit like Krusty the Clown.
Yep.
How long's he been there, Darcy?
Been there the best part of a dozen years, Gary Zimmerman. Jakey Landsberg, I think, has been there for about 25.
A bit of Groucho Marx look about him. There's Zimmer. Ball in the meantime over the line. So nearing the half-time break, just a couple of minutes left in it. The Bombers by 56, and as of yet, the Dogs really haven't given much of a yelp. And just an interesting sidelight, and I know it's probably not going to happen here tonight, but you never know. The Bombers can go to second position above the West Coast Eagles, but they need to claw back about 12%. Now, in very rough terms, that's a 120-point victory, so it's probably not going to happen, although the West Coast won by 126 today. And that is a very rough approximation. It depends on goals kicked against and all that sort of thing. But just roughly, there's
just punch through them numbers then, BT.
Just quickly added them up in my head, being the wizard I am when it comes to maths formulas, Richo. Here is Hargrave. Murphy on the trot. Now this will test him out, and he looks very, very good there. Kick he didn't quite nail. Here comes Fletcher. Stopped in his run. Still wanted to win it. Cooney busting out. Lingy's going to have a look at him at half-time. Got the give and go from Delhouse. Beautiful use by Cooney to Jones.
Play on!
Jones out of range. Ball wide to Dixon. Melksham got a little hand there.
I spoke before about within your limitations as we look at Brendan McCartney, the coach of the Bulldogs, and that for Liam Jones, a 45-metre bullet pass on the lead isn't really going to be an option for him. That just needed to go high and long to Will Minson. It was one-on-one and a little less harder kick to make.
Well, out wide, here's Carlo. Looks like he's recovered, and back in the thick of it there.
Do you reckon it's worth going with the sub a bit earlier tonight, maybe at half-time, Dust? They've actually had 18 inside 50s this quarter, but they just find it very hard to find targets down there. I'd be getting him on. Look, see if he can create
a lot to
something.
lose, have they? Yeah, Jordan Ruffhead, who can catch it.
High contact here off the ball. Will go the Bombers' way. Hibbert's ball, as the umpire alludes to. Could have possibly paid the advantage there, but the umpire deciding to let Hibbert have his go. Just under almost a half a minute. Good mark taken by Lonigan. Dropped out of the side last week, back in this week as a result of Monfree's injury. And very much part of their midfield makeup when he's playing at his best. He's very hard at it.
Saw David Hill with the experience working over the second game of Tommy Camp. We worked hard forward, doubled back and picked off a short lead. And that's exactly what he's going to do to the man who kicked it to him. Back to Lonigan.
Don't go forward.
And now look at the runner. He's just come off the bench in orange there. He said, come on, you've got to go. You've got about 10 seconds or less. And he didn't really listen to what he had to say. Siren sounds. And the Bombers by 56 points here at half-time. 12-7-79 to the Bulldogs 3-5-23. So the Bombers in full flight here in this game at Etihad on Saturday night, and they've got plenty to think about the Western Bulldogs. Brian Lake having a bit of chat to the umpires as he comes from the ground. Have the Dogs got any fight? We're going to find out on the other side of the half-time break. It's the Bombers by 56.
Continue to try and take Dustin Fletcher out of the goal square. Hurley and Brian Lake matched up as well.
Get it underway. Umpire Matthew Leopard bounces it in the middle. Dogs with the first clearance. Good start to them. Higgins forced to kick around the goal. Corner. Hardingham attacked the ball. Hocking on his preferred left to Myers. Heppel a little late in the run there, and eventually he gets it. And straight down the line with precision use of the ball by foot.
Well done to the umpire there, Matty Leopard. He got cleaned up at the first bounce, BT, but that's him officiating still. Hasn't missed a beat. Very courageous work.
Very tough, the umpires these days, Das.
It's a real one-on-one look about it out there, BT.
Yeah, there is at the moment. Going to go professional, are they, Das, the umpires?
I think it's worth a look at for sure. There's a study being done, and I think, given the importance, as we look at the free kick here going Kyle Reamer's way against Dylan Addison, still the only amateur part of the game really in a billion-dollar industry. As we see Matty Leopard there, just an accidental trip. Bounce straight back up, no problems there, Bristle.
He got straight up, he didn't carry on at all.
Not full-time umpires is very much worth a look.
How many pro sports in the world wouldn't have full-time umpires now? Probably none. Just a very good question.
Short notice, Richo. A little tough to answer that, but anyway, here we go.
You should be doing your job. You should know these things, Brian.
Reamers in that left to right slider pocket. When are they going to learn, Richo? When are you as a big forward going to get out there and tell clubs that in that quadrant it slides left to right no matter what you do with the ball?
Well, it's no good me telling them, Brian, because I didn't know what way they were sliding off my foot, so I don't think I'm the person to be telling them, to be honest.
Richo finally coming clean with his inaccuracies of pass.
You're right, though. It's so consistent down that pocket that it goes left to right that they should know by now.
Anytime it doesn't is if it hook the ball. There's Roughhead, the sub that's been activated, as Das mentioned. Jakey Carlisle's wrapped him up and eventually the ball over the line. Alex says to Jakey in an aggressive fashion, get up. Little boundary umpire throwing that one in with great power. Higgins. To Olio in there as well. Coming out with the ball, I think that was Clay Smith trying to broker away through there. Boyd. Heppel eventually got some clean ball.
Nice and Heppel.
Should have gone, Carlisle. They would have paid the advantage there. So a very benign opening to this third quarter by these two sides.
At least they're preventing that play on. They're holding them up a little bit more. Everyone's got a man. It's man on man. They're forcing them to just switch it around the back line like this.
Fletcher, just a wizard he is. Hooker couldn't control. Campbell goes to spiral. Half got onto it. Fletcher's got an absolute eternity. Will he track it down before the boundary line? I reckon he almost gave up on it then.
Has there ever been a player that you've seen run back and pick up a footy on his own more in defence than Dustin Fletcher? He's been doing that for 20 years.
That's a better kick from Hooker. Jetta wanted it, but in the meantime, Boyd is manned him up, so he goes inside in the space that was created by Boyd to Ryder. Ryder short ball to Melksham. Turns around, kicks it to the advantage of Jetta. He let it go in the end for the bigger player in Cramery. Markovic, risky kick, got some height about it, made Tom Liberatore work.
Both sides will be watching Essendon opposition analysis and trying to work out how to restrict their scoring. Great courage from Daniel Cross. He's brilliant at that. That ball through the corridor of Essendon, the Bulldogs are doing it now, has just been so effective tonight.
So that's the area you would target, Das, if you're an opposition scout?
Oh, they just absolutely burst it open.
So deny them that.
You have to try and force them along the boundary line. They want to go through the corridor. They're quick. They've got good skills by foot. And they've just smashed the Bulldogs in that area tonight.
And they're one of the teams that can really work the ball with angles by foot, aren't they? Here's Cramery. Look at the clean pick-up. Into goals. A little right foot, little left foot. Banana he went. In the end, he missed a lot. Got confused with what he was going to kick, I reckon. And James Hird said, just kick it low and get it through. In the end, did he make the hard look, or the simple look hard?
Yeah, do you reckon Purdy would probably struggle to understand how he could miss that, because he would have just dribbled it in, like you said.
Captain big time.
Didn't mess those up, Purdy.
Right there, James. Stay there, don't go forward. Play on.
Cross to Addison. Addison thought about Hargrave and now honours that. The Dogs look to find a way out. It's probably from this point on that it gets difficult. Howard, they let him have the easy kicks across the defensive 50 area. Beyond that, it's strong one-on-one. Carlisle just nudged early, rough head out of the way and swatted it to the boundary.
That's the reversing play there, isn't it? You see Howard looked into the corridor. Is there an option being created? No, and he has to go down the line as that man there enjoys a hot dog here at Etihad Stadium.
Beautiful facilities. Cold night in Melbourne for those watching around Australia. Wintry sort of night. Clay Smith gets it up into the forward end and over the line out of bounds it goes. Just for those that may have just joined us, Rob Murphy has been subbed out of the game in the red vest, hamstring, as Doc reported just before half-time. Hill off hands, an opportunity for Smith to run straight at it, and he's missed unbelievably.
He's a hard nut, Clay Smith. Kicked 4 goals on debut, but hasn't kicked one since. With the feeling that he's the type of player that Brendan McCartney is going to really enjoy developing into an elite midfielder.
You have a look at the Bulldogs players out there tonight, and Sean Higgins has kicked 14 goals. Dixon's kicked 10. They're the only 2 players with more than 10 goals out there, and that's been the problem this year. They just haven't been able to find consistent avenues to goal.
Sherman, rough head, cross. Cross wider. Opportunity for the Dogs and Smith to go forward. Hands in the back there against Hardingham. He's in disbelief. And Liam Jones gets a look at it. Goes into Roughhead, and Carlisle get there. And was waiting for the ball there, Roughhead.
He's an interesting player, Liam Jones. He was picked 43 in the draft going back 2 or 3 seasons ago, maybe one more as the Bombers try and exit defence. And I think there was an enormous amount of hype around this year that Liam Jones was going to somehow become a 60-goal key forward, and it was never really within his limitations as the Bulldogs turn one over.
Good pressure by Dixon. Allows Clay Smith to run at full steam. Gets onto the left, sights the goals and has kicked it. Dogs get the first of the 3rd quarter.
Good goal from Clay Smith. Das just said he kicked 4. on debut. Hadn't kicked one since, so he has now, and backed himself in. Good to see a young player seeing space in front of him and not panicking, using that space, running and bouncing, and steadied and kicked a goal. Going to be a good young player, no doubt about that. Great to see a young player taking the game on, running and bouncing, but well done, Adam Cooney. Didn't get a big shepherd on, but got in the way, gave him that split second longer to finish that goal off.
His fifth disposal in the quarter, Clay Smith. The goal to go with that now. Back to an even 50 points. Lonigan pushed away Hargrave. Hocking. Fast hands Watson. Heppel likewise. Lonigan likewise. Hibberd to Howlett. Inside Lonigan. Now onto the left foot of Hocking. Can go all the way from 55. Needs a good one. Not there.
Sharp. Sorry, Lingy. Just thinking how sharp they were around the contest in that play.
Have a look at this. Guy went out to mark it. He got stamped. He said, I can get this. Watch me, everybody. He's had a few, and he got stamped.
He got his ability and expectations mixed up there, that guy.
Just got to know your limitations, Richo. When you're out there, here's Picken in where all the hard action is. Hargrave trying to spin out with the ball, successful. Reema's in there trying to hunt them down, and we'll have a ball up here as a result. Have a look at this. The fan in the terrace gets up. He decides he's going to mark the ball. Ball coming. He says, I'll get this. Bang.
Falcon himself.
Just a little bit late putting the hands together.
Look at
he expected to mark that, but he just didn't have the ability to do it, I'm afraid.
Mates, he would have been saying, I used to play a high standard of football and
They'd
get
be
the
giving
job
it
done.
to him now.
And they would be saying, mate,
You can't play.
you cannot. There's Boyd. Off half back. Good space for Cooney to operate, but he's got to beat. It's a 2-on-3 Bombers way. Hooker had it on a string. Tried to do more than he was capable of. Hooker just got a handball it. Jones feeds to Boyd for 3 consecutive goals for the Dogs. They've got it.
Nicely finished off there by Matty Boyd, but it was that man behind him, Dowhouse, his ability to lay a tackle, forward pressure. That's what he's in the team for. He's had a good night, Luke Dowhouse, one of their better players, 15 disposals, but 5 tackles more importantly. And if you're a half forward laying over 5 tackles in a game, which he will, it's a fantastic performance.
Now, I know I'm a bit of an optimist, but look at this. Hooker probably didn't need to take the bounce, did what he probably wasn't capable of doing, and this allowed the goal to be kicked by Boyd. They've kicked the last 3. They've got it back to a 45-point margin, and they're not without some hope here.
We love your optimism, Brian. You've brought sides back from big margins on Saturday night footy. Can you do it again?
Hurley, Dempsey in full flight. Long ball. Dempsey says, no way. Got him covered. And what a great answering goal from Courtney Dempsey, and the fans are ecstatic about that one.
Very nice response. Thank you from Courtney Dempsey. That's the way to just silence any hope. The Bulldogs have to be a remarkable comeback, and Courtney Dempsey bursting through from half back. Brilliant play. Well done from Stanton as well there.
Good play from Lonigan coming in off the line, getting that handball off, which kept the ball alive, and that run from half-back from Dempsey, or half-back wing, he's been a really improved player this year for the Bombers. One of the reasons why they'll be 2nd or 3rd on the ladder tonight.
He's a great player to watch. Always live and interactive here. Campbell and Hill going at it in the middle. #1 in clearances, the Bombers in the competition. Playing the number 16 side here in clearances tonight.
Just a poor spot on the ground to go there. I know that was where Liam Jones led, but you've got a beautiful clearance. You're running out. You just needed to go to a dangerous part where they could at least try and put some pressure on, maybe get a front and centre crumb.
That moustache there blocking the view of Brendan McCartney from Zimmer. Just tickling his cheek. Myers to Fletcher. Hocking on the run. We've enjoyed watching the Bombers over the weeks. We've seen about their last 7 or 8 games in a row, and they have entertained us. They've been a good footy side.
They've given great value, Brian, this side, and I'm very bullish about their chances in 2012. I think they're developing very nicely.
How far, Darce? How bullish?
If they finish inside the top 4, I reckon they are a massive chance. As good a chance as them. Collingwood are slightly in front, West Coast at home, but I've got them right up there in the next bracket.
So you think they'll finish top 4?
Yeah, I think they're right on track to do it, Richo.
Playing for third spot here tonight. Lonigan stuck it out in front of Stanton. He gathers. Now he's got to get rid of the tackler, and Markovic said, no way. Great tackle on Stanton.
I'm with you, boys. I reckon Essendon play the right brand of footy to be right up there at the pointy end of the season. The only thing that they might not have that the Collingwood and the West Coast have is that experience, the big game experience that Collingwood have got through Dane Swan and Scotty Pendlebury and those guys. Essendon don't quite have that other than Dustin Fletcher, but they certainly play the right type of footy.
Back inside here to Cooney.
Geez, he led up into that well, Cooney. Showed a bit of explosiveness.
Rough head, Hill dropped back, made it a 2-on-1. Hardingham just to tidy things up around the back door to Hooker.
Thanks, Jordan. Oh.
This is what they can do, Essendon. As the umpire calls play on, they're great on the fast break, and then when they need to show some poise, they also have got great foot skills as well, and they can go both ways.
So they're all very understanding of when to go and when not.
Their system working perfectly, I reckon, for Essendon. They've got that in shape in a short space of time under James Hird.
Poor kick by Higgins. Gave the Bombers a real chance, and Hill gobbled it up, and he's got Paddy Ryder out wide.
Pressure for spots is a brilliant thing in footy. We've got Tommy Bell-Chambers sitting there, who's had a good year, been forced out by the man who took that last contested, Mark David Hill.
Ryder had the back up. He couldn't see anything down the field that he's liked. Hocking trying to use the ball wide, cross, gets an open look. Dogs have kicked 3 of the last 4 goals here. Smith inside. Liberatore, what do I do? I'm a good handballer. No one wants it. So he goes himself. And why not Tom Liberatore? They've kicked 4 of the last 5 goals, the Dogs.
He'll end up being a very, very good player, Tom Liberatore. Sensational in close. He's got great hands. He's got the tackling ability of Liberatore, but he's a brilliant kick too, and that was a good example of the skill there.
Did that with ease, that kick from Liberatore. There's Brendan McCartney on the bench and having a chat to Brian Lake. Matty Boyd was there also having a chat to him.
Wow, the Dogs have now kicked 4 of the last 5 goals. Tom Liberatore says, I can do this from beyond the arc, and all of a sudden gaining some momentum.
I like it, Brian. I can see the enthusiasm building from your good self.
Thomas, you're just starting to lift off your seat a little bit there, Brian. He got them home against the Swans nearly the other week.
It's not a matter of barracking, it's just a matter of a feeling, Richo. When the sides kick 4 of the last 5, you've got to give them some credit, because I reckon the Bombers have switched off a little.
It's slightly confusing being around Bristol, Richo. If you go through an airport with him, he's one of the most angry, cantankerous, glass half empty man. Get him here on a big Saturday night, and 90-point margins, you think, can be chewed up.
What you do around Brian at an airport is you just slowly walk off in the other direction, because he's an angry sort of a character at airports.
Last time I saw you guys, you left me up against the wall with a man trying to cuff me.
Get him here at Etihad Stadium, and he's very positive.
Not a place to be sort of agitated at airports.
Delhouse there. As we get a ball up. Players gather their thoughts. The Dogs to just kick the next one, and the boys sitting beside me here would just start to tickle. Now, the umpire got absolutely bowled over then. I think it was Hocking that nailed him. In comes Reimers. To Olio. Little kick good to Melksham. The run's impressive. Opportunity for Reimers. Misses. And how's the umpire here? Have a look at this. Hocking gave him a bit of a hip and shoulder, but didn't see he was there. And once again, I think it's our man Matthew Leppard, was it?
Just needs to work on his core stability there, just not holding his feet enough.
He bounced up very nicely, though, Richo. Let's pay some respect to the umpires.
No, I do have ultimate respect for him, just trying to suggest what he could do.
Oh, Fletcher, magnificent desperation to win a ball that probably in the context of the game doesn't matter a lot. Howlett around the corner. So just a bit of neutral play here in the last couple of minutes. Just the one goal kicked in this quarter by the Bombers, 3 by the Dogs. 46-point margin. Under 9 remaining in the third. Stranger things have happened. Hocking. Griffin confronted. Nice, deliberate underground handball to Higgins. Smooth move up. Easton Wood loves to run. Well manned on the mark there by Jeddah. Cross now. Prefers to handball than kick. And they peel off and they force him to hit the target, and he doesn't let them down to Smith.
He's been great this quarter. Lingy, Clay Smith, he's gone on ball and he's had 4 clearances. What have you seen from him down there?
Yeah, Richo, very good around the footy. You mentioned the 4 clearances. He's very busy at the stoppages, very busy at the contest, and Macca would be absolutely loving his ability to win the ball in a contest. That's all he'd be asking from this team in this second half of the game. Fix up the contested stuff.
Stanton, look at the competitive nature of Hurley. Off to Stanton again. He's not sure what to do. In the end, he hoisted it very high and gave the Bombers virtually no chance in the air, but now they've got some ground level numbers here. Watson gathers, gets a look from 45. You are a star, Joe Watson.
Great players have an ability to make the game slow down when they're around the footy. And others were flagging and flailing and trying to get involved. He just swooped on it, one motion, picked it up and scored with ease, Joe Watson.
Doesn't look like missing when he gets the ball now inside 50. Just got real poise, and it was an area of his game early in his career people probably didn't rate his ability in.
Joe Watson, we've spoken about him so many times this year, but he just gets better and better. Absolutely wrapped with kicking that goal. But if you could ever show a young player the footage of how to hunt around a ball and see the opportunity to influence the play, show them Joe Watson. He just gets involved in so many plays. Incredible player.
Just interesting to see what's happening on the Essendon bench at the moment. I know you can't see it on your screen, but the AFL official has come across to the Essendon bench. There he is there in the glasses, talking with Essendon. I wonder whether there's a fundamental issue here. Quite an aggressive chat going on there now between Bomber officials. Back out in the middle, Liberatore. You can see it bottom left of screen there as they hold the ball up in play. And it's something to do with the sub. He stood there, did Lovett Murray, but he's not going to be used. He sits back down now. Little kick out wide to Markovic, who, by the way, is the nephew of Brian Markovic, one of our great race callers here in Victoria. Comes to the footy and watches his nephew do his business. Very proud of him. Punched away there by Hardingham. Now, the AFL official just sitting behind there wondering what's going on. I don't know whether you're any of the wiser down there, Lingy, are you?
No, I'm not, BT. There's a bit of paperwork going on. I think the sub is certainly being thought about being activated. Lovett Murray is taking the green vest off. I'll let you know as soon as I can who's going to come off.
Paddy right up through the hands. Higgins able to mop it up out the other side, but he's being pursued aggressively. Goes there long, looking for Delhouse over the top. Stanton Hill came in and made a bit of mess of all of them. Stanton caught one high. And Lovett Murray getting ready. Doc Larkins.
Yeah, it's Cremery that's being subbed out. He's still got the sore foot from when he got stomped on earlier in the game, Brian, and they brought him off about a minute ago, and that's what the conversation was about with the AFL.
Whether they were initially trying to change the person that come off, because it was more than just your normal changeover discussion.
He had a very stern look on his face, the AFL official. He was very, very keen to get involved.
Very earnest, Das. Well, most are in official positions. Here's Paddy. At the ground level, half volley to Olio's got pace. Liberatore sticks the tackle. Well done, Tom. Beautiful knock on from Cross. Where is Pickham going? To give the Bombers a chance in Melksham.
Did he think he was going the wrong way there, Liam Pickham?
Oh, a knee to the head there by Jakey Melksham.
Got him on the head. Got him on the head.
Certainly did get him on the head.
It was an unusual kick there from Liam Pickham.
Hold on. Brian.
Surely
yeah,
didn't.
Okay. You're right to take the kick.
Have a look at this. Jake Melksham in his haste, not deliberate, just sort of fell on top of him with the legs. I wonder whether he did think he was going that way, Das. Watson. There is the stub that's been activated. Love it, Murray. Delhouse has to get rid of it now. Cross, who's got lovely in close hands. Sherman, get out of the way, Cooney, he says. On to Picken. Picken looking for another overlap runner. They get forward of the ball. I suggest give it to Cooney. He does now. Here comes Fletcher.
Yeah, he did that well. He had no one to go to, Picken. He just had to wait for his teammates to structure something up in forward of him. And Cooney did it well. Pushed into a little bit of space.
Cooney into the pocket. Minson clears the space for the drop zone.
Will Minson holding the arm.
And a hold. Well done by Will Minson. He plays on immediately without any thought of trying to convert himself. Bombers get back in some numbers. Well done there by Hibbard. Handball didn't quite get to Hill. In comes Sherman. Found another one. Another opportunity for Miss and Delhouse. Smother off hands. And now Sherman. Let's get down to Doc Larkins.
Yeah, Cramery has put the big compression ice pack on his calf and Achilles on the bench, Brian. So from earlier in the match, and that's the reason he's been subbed out for Lovett Murray.
Seeing you behind the screen there, Doc. You got a nice close-up look at it. That is for sure.
I was just helping him put the ice pack on, Brian. That's all.
Doc, very quiet down there. Higgins, high ball one-on-one. Jones and Hardingham go at it. Gee, he's got a great competitive nature. Kyle Hardingham. Lonigan now. Watson, beautiful hands in a tight situation. Dempsey, how clever's that? D'Olio, this is where we like to watch the Bombers in open space. Kick to Hocking, didn't get there on the full. Back in the middle, Heppel's the runner. He's got players left, right and centre. He goes to centre to Hurley. Magnificent Bomber play.
That bit of play there, you could just see that. Let's have a look at smart bit of play from Dempsey. Knocked it on, that got things moving. But Hurley then had the whole 50 to work into. When Heppel gained possession here, he had the whole fat side of the ground to himself, and nearly impossible for any defender to stop that. And
Hurley was wrapped. Fourth goal.
20 gone, Michael.
That's why I think people like watching the Bombers. Great illustration. Hurley comes in and steers that one straight through the middle. He's got goal number 4.
So that's 10 goals in 2 weeks for Michael Hurley. Had a pretty flat patch leading up until last fortnight. Good response from a player who we think can seriously play the game, Michael Hurley.
Yeah, kicked 4 goals. That's 10 goals in his last 2 games.
Hurley gives the Bombers 58 points. There's a former Bomber superstar, Matthew Lloyd, invited back by the Bombers tonight to attend the dinner. And I think it's the first time since he's left the Bombers that he's gone back. And
he was excited about it too, Lloyd, wasn't he, today?
All day. We're with him at the MCG, and he is loving the opportunity to get back in there.
He'd be loving what Michael Hurley's doing at the moment up forward.
Oh boy, he would indeed. Superstar of the game, Matthew Lloyd, one of the all-time great goal kickers.
Do you reckon he gets a little bit of wobble when he looks up at the Lloyd end up there?
Got the Lloyd end sign up here at the southern end of the ground, and that's a great honour. Don't be disparaging of that, Richo, just because you've got nothing at all at the Punt Road little sort of ground that's no longer relevant in footy. Very upset, Richo. Here's another injury here to Ryan Griffin. Dishes it off sideways to Higgins.
Right there, Paddy.
He'd be quietly happy with that Lloyd end, though.
Oh, yeah, would be ever.
It's been a concern for the Bulldogs all year as they get to the edge of 50 and look up as behind there's something that only Brian could do, which is a left foot 9-9.
Yep.
Unusual stuff. And you look forward and you go, where does the lead come from? Where does the next kick come from? And it's where they're at. They're rebuilding the Bulldogs. They haven't got, marquee forwards there. They are developing young players, and it'll take some time. But I think what's been impressive is that they've at least been able to find some competitive spirit after looking like they were going to get absolutely smashed in this game.
Good grab from Hocking. In amongst a couple of defenders. Fletcher right near the interchange bench. There's Heppel almost in the interchange gates. Fletcher comes off for a spell just in the bottom right there.
Move it on. Play on.
Now with a minute 13 remaining in the quarter, a 58-point Bomber lead. They led by 56 at half-time, so they've stemmed the bleeding, the Dogs, but they haven't been able to trim the advantage back. Have a look how they are prepared to let Hooker kick the ball. Does what he's capable of there. Little chip over the top to Carlisle. Carlisle to Hurley.
And even though this is a slow build-up, they are, as Dalhouse Smother was great, their ability to maintain possession when they want to has been great, apart from right now.
Great tackle by Dalhouse. Lake to Libba. Libba to Roughhead. Centre half forward. No one really in the goal square. He says, I'll just get it online and hope for the bounce, and didn't get it online.
Brendan McCartney would be saying to the rest of his team, if a second-year player like Luke Dalhouse can make a smother like that, can tackle like that, can chase and do everything that he's done tonight, why can't the rest of his? He'd be very annoyed with the rest of the team.
No, he's just a lover of the 1%ers, Lingy, isn't he? Just loves getting the down and dirty stuff done.
Yeah, that's the way he rolls, certainly.
Maybe why Lingy's won 3 premierships, Brian.
Yeah.
There might be something in that. Just something you couldn't quite
a bit annoying
over your career.
A bit annoying for the three of us up here.
Ah, Lingy.
He might be onto something, Lingy.
Siren sounds to end the quarter. And the Bombers 15-10-100 lead the Western Bulldogs 6-7-43. It is an Essendon 57-point three-quarter time lead.
Fantastic shape as we head into the business end of the season. It's been one of the great stories this year, Essendon.
An approximate 120-point win, Das, could give them second position. Highly unlikely, I know, with just a 60-point lead or just under at the moment, but the Bombers are a fast-scoring side. They are capable of 8, 9, 10 goals in a quarter if they get going. Especially like this. Watson steps to the line and says, I'll give you a flying start.
What a unbelievable player, Joe Watson. We're just about run out of superlatives, having seen the Bombers so much on Saturday night footy. Goal number 2, 24 disposals. They started with Matthew Boyd head-to-head. He had 14 in the first quarter. Now they've gone the hard tag, mainly with Liam Picken, and he's still able to break free. 11 contested possessions, 4 clearances. He is the Brownlow medal favourite. He will be very, very hard to stop all year. He's just turned himself into one of the great players in the game, Richo.
Just hunts the football. Never sits back and spectates, follows up and gets himself another goal. Kicked a goal in each of his last 6 games, so he's good for one every week as an on-baller.
Got a couple now. There's the activated sub in Lovett Murray. Heppel tripped over his own feet, basically. Cooney was good all in the one action to get it off to Boyd there. Now Liberatore, high ball. Here comes Roughheads. Got both hands on it, couldn't control it. Hardingham needed to be tidy at ground level. He was every bit of that. Carlisle, funny little stubby kick, found Myers. Myers to Howlett. They look like they're on a bit of a search here for some perfection. Lovett Murray takes on big Minnow. Minnow looks at him. Lovett Murray backs out of the running contest. Handball to Howlett. That is just inch-perfect footy, Bombers. Stanton marks. And they are capable here of kicking 2 goals within the 2 minutes.
Once again, it's working back through the corridor and breaking the Bulldogs open. The forwards have got so much option when that passage comes through the middle of the ground. It's been a field day for the Bombers forwards. There's been so much space.
To turn it into a 69-point lead, Stanton offline and makes it 64.
Darcy, absolutely spot on there. When Nathan Lovett-Murray was running with the footy down the far side of the ground, as soon as he brought that ball back inside, it just allowed the forward so much more room to move into, and Brett Stanton found himself in a whole lot of space. Really clever play.
Easton Wood just took his eyes off the ball momentarily. Free kick.
Easton Woods, free kick, too high. Your free kick.
got to get the ball off Howard.
Give him the footy now.
So Wood with the free here. He's reluctant to go across ground. You can see where all the players are converging. So basically going to kick it to a contest here and give the Bombers a chance. Had no other option, really. Jones off to Picken. Picken's got some runners inside. They can open them up here. Higgins probably should have gone to Minson. He waited for Griffin, but Griffin was completely out of step. And Paddy turned him over. Look at the commitment of the ball from Cross there. That was a hard ball win for Cross. Hocking, Ryder, Stanton ran into a front-on tackle. Got rid of it, though. Jeddah zigzags his way through traffic. Courtney Dempsey, have a look at that, just the one-hand pick up and the ball to Reimers. Reimers turns, looks, inside to D'Olio.
That play of Jeddah in the middle of the ground there, he takes possession in a fair bit of congestion, but he has the explosive ability to burst out of it. He gets Dempsey doing some power gut running down that outside wing, and they're just a great team to watch, and they're flowing like that.
A basic error as well from Higgins there. Handball to Griffin. Just get tackled the second that he took possession of the footy.
Absolutely. Here is D'Olio as a result of all of that, and he needs a little right to left swinger, and he's got it. D'Olio's got a couple into the Bomber cheer squad.
So they get punished again, the Bulldogs, for a turnover that had them bursting forward, a chance to score, and combination there between two of their experienced players, Higgins and Griffin, was the result in a turnover, and the Bombers have punished them all night.
Pretty happy Bomber bench there at the moment. Coach's box, Bomber Thompson taking a back seat up there tonight. Hurd and Danny Corcoran on the left-hand side there has returned to Bomberland. Goodwin also back left. The coaching hierarchy at Bomberland. Handball out to Dempsey. They've kicked the first 2 goals of the last quarter. A whopping 70-point lead at the moment, so not out of the question here is in excess of 120 points, which is going to close the cap big time percentage on the West Coast Eagles. Higgins, runners everywhere there. He had to split the middle of them. Out to Cooney. He spoke about him at half-time. He wants to see the acceleration. He's not sure whether he's still got that in his game. Here comes Roughhead. Over the top, it was Campbell, in fact. The big man, Campbell. Carlisle happy to concede the boundary here.
It's been made of the Bomber coaching staff, and when they went and got James Hurd, he came with an impressive team. You see Simon Goodwin standing up there, who is one of the most impressive young coaches in the game. Bomber Thompson as a mentor. Sean Wellman's returned back to the Essendon Football Club as a former premiership player. They have gone and recruited and headhunted some of the greats. You have to say it's working. Brian, you got a little smirk on your face.
Bomber Thompson looked at the TV screen, saw that we're on the box. He was disappointed. Then Hurd he saw, and he put his hands in his head, and he wasn't happy that we're on,
they are again.
the box. Oh, boy. As they take a little sneaky. You can see Matthew Egan there, Lingy. What sort of an impact he made down at Bomberland as well, former Cat?
Advantage,
yeah,
advantage.
A huge impact. He's a quality person, and again, a real teaching development type person who would be working closely with those young players and trying to just build them up and eventually get them to be playing good quality footy. Good person, great person.
Campbell takes the mark here on the boundary line.
And Hurdy singled him out in particular for the turnaround in their goal-kicking fortunes, having had a couple of weeks in a row where they were really struggling. But their set shot kicking tonight, 8-2. And last week as well, their big win over the Dockers, they really got it right.
Yeah, they have cleared up that part of their game, that is for sure. Here is Campbell, the big man, from an impossible position. Virtually got to get it over the behind post there for that left to right slide. Out of bounds in the full. Difficult kick.
You talk about Matty Egan, boys. The one thing that I was blown away with Matty Egan, he had every right to be very bitter, feel harshly done by. Broken his foot on the eve of the 2007 Premiership as an All-Australian centre-half back. Quite rightly, he could have 3 Premiership medals hanging around his neck. He took it in his stride, positive, and is now doing a great job as an assistant coach.
That was him on the right-hand side of James Hurd as you look at the picture there. Lovett Murray. Lingy full of praise for his former teammate.
Hey, Lingy, he was an All-Australian in his first year, wasn't he? Was that or second year?
Second year, I believe, Darcy. He had a couple of years on our top-up VFL list and then came up to AFL, and yeah, was All-Australian in the premiership year of 2007 and unfortunately broke his foot in the last game of the year.
Sean Wellman sitting alongside of him, a premiership player with the Bombers in 2000. They've gone and headhunted everyone they wanted. I don't think budget was an issue either, Brian. They went and just said, we'll pay them what they're worth.
Knock it out.
Absolutely.
Just got a tweet in from Matthew Lloyd, who's obviously getting some feedback. He thinks that you two are kidding yourself. Lloyd, you're not happy with the solo shot on him. The Essendon champ returning home tonight.
Yes, in the crowd. So here goes Cooney with that renowned pace. By the way, Essendon likely to finish in 4th position on the ladder. Sydney currently 3rd. Big lead over GWS as it is at the moment. So that'll see the Bombers push back to 4th position. Boyd grabs it out of the ruck. Hooker. Matty Lloyd, when I saw the picture of him, didn't have a lot of friends around him either. He had a lot of clear seats.
He likes a bit of his own personal space, Lloydie.
Not a consumer of too much alcohol when he's here in party mode. Here is the ball up top of the square. Disposals there. The Bombers have had plenty of it, heading for 400 touches tonight. Liberatore already got one. Here's another opportunity for the young man. Well done, Tom Liberatore. So Libba gets his 2nd goal here for the Western Bulldogs, and he's one of their real bright young prospects, along with Mitch Wallace, who was surprisingly left out of the side this week.
Yeah, one of the favourites for the Rising Star, Mitch Wallace. They've been in great form. Maybe just a rotational rest for a young player. A little fatigue, potentially. There's something to get excited about for Bulldog fans who watch tonight's game. Tom Liberatore, he will end up being a very, very good player. 19 possessions, 2 goals, with sensational hands in close, and a very, very good kick. Slightly taller than his dad. He's got the tackling prowess and the hardness, and maybe even a little bit more skill to go with it.
Yeah, got the handball prowess, and not bad by foot either. There's a nice kick inside to Remus. Remus gloves it right in front of goal.
That was outstanding, that kick. Could have swung out onto his right foot and kicked it sort of to the boundary side of the ground, but didn't. Cut back inboard here, and that just opened up that corridor. And Remus timed the lead beautifully, but it was Stanton's ability to cut back inboard which created that. That was fantastic.
Remus directly in front. A little left on that occasion.
Gee, there's a massive fight going on for that top 4 this year. Hawthorn will drop out of the top 4 tonight. Sydney and Essendon with West Coast and Collingwood. It's going to be fascinating this year, the top 4 battle, and then that battle for 8th position.
The Bombers next week, they're back here at Etihad Stadium on Saturday night footy. They take on the Saints, and they go to Amy Stadium against Port Adelaide. They've got the Cats here at Etihad Stadium, Hawthorn at Etihad Stadium. So it's not an easy run for the Bombers at all, but they are in such good form that
it's going to be that 3-week block. Geelong, Hawthorn and Adelaide, I reckon, isn't it?
Going to be positioned with the 10 wins after tonight, boys, and plenty of games in hand. It's going to be a high finish for them. You can see them collecting anywhere from 14 to 17 wins for the year as a target for them, and that's going to put them on last year's rankings in the top 4.
Not saying they haven't had a great year, because they have, but they've only played 3 teams inside the 8 as we speak. So it's going to be that stretch coming up. St Kilda are going to be in the 8. Geelong, Hawthorn and Adelaide are all in the 8. So 4 out of the next 5 games are against top 8 sides as we speak. I think after that, you're going to know how well the Bombers are going.
Boyd. Little poker Sherman. Stuck it in front of Minson. And he'll get a free will. He's done well. He's commanded the front position, and he'll line up for his 3rd goal.
He's a big presence, Will Minson. big frame. I think as his ruck work's developed, his forward play's improved along with it, and he just good front position. And Hooker overplayed it, grabbed hold of the arm, and an opportunity for Big Will to kick his third goal.
Yes, he's second, coming at the 14-minute mark of the second quarter, and here he is lining it up. There's just a matter of guiding it down nice and easily. No climatic effect in this arena. That's magnificent from Will. He kicks the third goal.
They're really happy for Will Minson to come back into the side tonight, to kick 3 goals. He had some controversy last week. Club imposed a suspension for some sledging. And a quality individual is Will Minson. Certainly had a moment that he'd probably regret. But the only thing you can do is get back out and respond. He's done that well tonight.
There's the 4-on-4 in the middle, as they position themselves strategically, both defensively and attacking, for a very important part of the game, which is the clearance work. Bombers get it through Ryder. Here's to Olio. Fierce attack on the ball. Was well done. Melksham gets a look. Can he get inside Higgins? He can. Gives it back off. Lonergan just needed another step. Out of bounds on the foot.
Great stuff from Olio then. Clean possession and good poise in heavy traffic to work his way through. One of the players that'll be really on the fringe of this side, and just playing his 4th game, and you know that you have to just do everything right. Finals around the corner. You just want to make sure you're a part of a side that's building to something pretty special.
You do. Boyd and young players that are on that, you know, age 15 to 22, really want to consolidate their positions with a finals campaign around the corner. Smith, who had a very good third quarter, Clay Smith. Yeah, just a bit of keepy off here at the moment, as presenting up and ignored was Dixon. And now Liver's got to make it work, and kicks a little dangerous. Campbell got the Dukes outstretched, and defender couldn't get to it. Great example. Looks a little awkward in his kicking style, and he's given it up to Fletcher.
That was actually not amusing to watch from Liam Jones's point of view, but Liam Jones did 8 leads. Dustin Fletcher didn't move once. He just stood there and said, "You're not going to get the footy," and took an uncontested mark. The composure and experience and understanding what's happening on a game, on a footy field for Fletcher's just really fascinating sometimes.
22 touches to Tom Liberatore there. He gave it up to Myers, but been a good game for him. Here's Watson in the middle. Just a little steadying kick wide to Stanton. He's got the overlap in Lovett. Murray probably could have gone over the top with a handball. Had to wait for it, Remus. Nicely done, Markovic.
That's why I think Dustin Fletcher, the last few weeks we saw the Dockers, the week before, they were taking Fletcher back to the goal square, the big Shane Mumford against the Swans, and I think you have to do that. You've got to get him out of that half-back area where he cuts it off and sets you up.
Well, here he is again. He's equalled 8th on the all-time games played, with Johnny Blakey with tonight's game. A marvellous example. 359 games, I think it is.
Do you reckon he'll play next year, obviously?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Do you reckon he'll get to 400?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. He's going to need
one
to
more,
play
you reckon?
another year after that, and possibly a lot of finals in between, Richo.
I reckon we thought this time last year, will he go on again? And he did, and now he'll go on probably next year.
Love spending time at the footy club, Dustin Fletcher.
Doesn't leave the place.
No, he just can't get enough of it.
It'll be a very exciting time to be a player at the Essendon Footy Club over the next few years. I reckon he'd try and hang around for 2 or 3 more, the way the boys are going.
I think he's given Dustin Fletcher 3 more years, so that'd mean he'd be 55.
Bring on 500 games.
Tucky's in trouble, you reckon, Lingy?
Look at Hurley work hard for this lead. That is fantastic. Present up play by Hurley.
He makes you kick it to him because of how he presents to the football.
A rather magnetic approach. Aggressive approach from Hurley. Hill little soccer around the corner. Out of bounds on the full.
I remember sitting around an under-18 carnival and the recruiting officers were looking at Michael Hurley, and some of the language around was that perhaps he wasn't explosive enough. He was an All-Australian fullback twice in the under-18s. How wrong could you be? I think what they might have underestimated is he's just a fanatical competitor, and he just really, when the ball's in his area and not in his area, he just gets out, get out of my way. I'm going to go harder than anyone else to get it.
That's why you can't just rate it on all the testing, and they obviously don't. You've got to have that competitor in you.
Bombers. Full kick, Addison.
I've seen a lot of players come to footy clubs over the years, and they've got all the tools athletically, they're skillful, but they don't have that hunger to want to compete like a Michael Hurley does, and they don't ever play any footy.
If you had one trait that you would want in a recruit, Richo, I'm with you. It'd be how hungry and fanatically competitive is that person. And you're right, sometimes the testing doesn't show it, the under-18s doesn't show it, but you get it pretty early in pre-season. You see when they come up against an experienced player.
Is that something that's natural and doesn't improve much with age and maturity?
I reckon it is. I reckon it's a part of your DNA.
Right.
And if you're not that nasty competitor, it's only marginal how much that improves.
Love it, Murray. To Hocking on his favoured left side. Missed.
That's why a lot of guys are making it off rookie lists, because they've had to work hard to get onto the list in the first place, and they're a lot more hungry to succeed and competitive, I reckon.
And there's degrees of, you don't become an AFL player without having a competitive streak in you, but there are some players that would rather die than lose a contest. In everything they do, they train so hard, they
Perhaps
just
not,
will themselves.
Perhaps not die, Dale.
Well, maybe not.
When you analyse it. Tess Fletcher goes with the barrel and didn't get it, but the crowd loved his attempt.
Thanks for your support, BT. Just spent a minute there trying to build something up, and you shoot it down just with one little sentence. You're kidding yourself.
You guys, get real. There's Minnow, the big fella. He tracked down Hocking, Jakey Carlisle, and Minnow was determined to put him underneath the surface there.
An interesting night for you tonight, BT, as we take a look at James Hurdy and the matches to come there. St Kilda, Port Adelaide, Geelong and Hawthorn. He interviewed Steve Hooker before the show. He told Steve Hooker that maybe you should get a bigger pole with all your Olympic expertise. You said Brett Ratton won't be around next year. Another big call. And
I didn't say that.
Sprayed Essendon's champion, Matty Lloyd.
I hope Brett Ratton will be there next year. I really do. I think he deserves it. There's Dempsey sprinting away. Nice ball to Hurley. Don't you try and put words in my mouth, Das. Doc Larkins, just quickly, Doc.
Yeah, Ryan Griffin's eventually succumbed to the core calf. He's had all second half. He's on the bench having a compression bandage put on. He's had a hard night with Heath Hocking tracking him.
Well, 2 weeks ago, Michael Hurley had never kicked 5 goals, kicked 6 last week. Got the opportunity to kick his 5th here now.
Hurley, have a look at Lake, the man on the mark here. Have a look at his work. He starts to the side. Look at that.
It's not working for him.
It's not. Hurley nails goal number 5 and gives him a clean look.
Yeah, great effort. Michael Hurley presented up all night, led hard at the footy. We've just been talking about that, and deserves another 5-goal ball. His intensity right from the start of the game has been spot on. Now kicked 11 goals in the last 2 weeks, and that's more than he'd kicked for the entire rest of the season, Michael Hurley.
He's not a naturally aerobic athlete, Michael Hurley, and that's where the upside will come when he develops that over a few pre-seasons. But his desire to work hard is what is exciting. You just see him work Brian Lake over there and had so much space again.
Watson, even though he was held by Boyd, managed to just advance it forward. There's Kyle Reimers, one of those players on the fringe that's got to play well all the time to consolidate a position here. He's done well tonight.
Matty Boyd's been good again. Here he is again. He's at 34 possessions now, 8 clearances.
Yeah,
he's good for that every week.
He's one of the most consistent players in the league, isn't he? Rough head. And even wider to Sherman. Sherman marks, and Dixon wanted it on the lead, and Sherman said, no, I'll go for home myself, didn't quite get the journey, and you'd be annoyed about that. And Dixon turns around and has a bit of a glance at him and says, well, you weren't going to make the distance. Why wouldn't you want the kick?
Yeah, it's a side that hasn't done the small percentage things well tonight. The Bulldogs haven't manned the mark well. They haven't kicked that one to the hot spot. They haven't been able to defend in transition well. So there's a lot to improve. And Lingy pointed out, they are developing. They are in teaching mode, and I think they'll go to the tape and have a heap to work on the back of a pretty disappointing night tonight. Richo, live and interactive, you got one for us?
Yeah, I think Hannah May hit the nail on the head here. The Dogs just haven't applied enough pressure tonight. Well, they have put a little bit more on in the second half, but certainly in the first quarter it was non-existent.
There's Howlett looking for a way through. Reamers, bodies, and then goes at it. Mark, I think, says, damn it, I missed him.
He's an interesting unit, Kyle Reamers, isn't he? I think James Hird has made him earn every game so far. I think he's been told a few home truths, Kyle, but there's something unique about him. There's something dangerous about him as a player, and I reckon Hirdy would love to have him in his side. If he does the percentage things well, I reckon there's a spot for this man every week.
It's just his third game for the year, Dar, so he's made him really work for it. Reamers comes in and kicks his third goal for the game, Kyle Reamers.
We enjoyed that one, Kyle Reamers. Third goal, why wouldn't he? As we just said, he's worked hard for it, BT, and he loves the celebration as much as anyone, Kyle Reamers.
He enjoyed that. Was his third goal, Kyle, and a 71-point Bomber lead. 40,824, Richie. You said about 40. You weren't that far off.
Yeah, that'd be because Daniel, the stats man, gave me a little bit of paper that had the number on it, BT.
Okay. Love it, Murray out of the middle. Just got a bit of Payakaroon about you at the moment, Richo. Misses to the left-hand side. Nathan Lovett Murray subbed in tonight. In the absence of Cramery. Just remind us of Cramery's injury down there, Dr. Peter Larkins.
He did get stomped on the calf about 20 minutes into the game, first quarter. Played on with a sore calf groin, got a bit more swelling and was subbed out later in the game, Cramery. He should be all right perhaps in a week.
And what other injuries out of this game, Doc?
Robert Murphy's hamstring's probably going to be a real one, Brian. What I mean, it's probably going to be a 2 or 3 match for Robert Murphy with a high left hamstring injury. And Ryan Griffin got a heavily corked calf, which has probably bled, and he's likely to be in doubt, I'd say.
Okay. Peter Larkins here. By the way, the Western Bulldogs have got Fremantle in Perth next week. Hawthorn, Carlton and St Kilda. Doesn't get any easier for the Western Bulldogs, who only have 5 wins to their name so far this year. So 2:29 remaining here. Bombers searching for double-figure wins. And they'll get that here tonight. Myers in the back of his teammate. The umpire's gone over again. This time it was the big boy Dean Margetts. Dempsey at half-back, who's been interesting. This man here, Dustin Fletcher, has had 27 touches of the footy.
You know what's interesting is that they don't ever rest Fletcher. They never take him off and say, your job's done tonight. They love playing every game, and they don't rotate him out of the side. In fact, he just loves being out there. And his body holds up so well. Question for you, BT. Sam S. on the tweet. Brian, what does this result say more about Essendon or the Dogs?
Well, it tells me that the Bombers are a definite top 4 side, but it also says the Dogs are very much in development, not to expect too much out of them. And that's exactly what we've got here tonight. Some spasmodic moments where they've been okay, but they are young and immature.
Let's have a look at the live ladder here, Richo. What have we got?
Well, the Swans have had a big win tonight. Obviously, they've gone into second. The Eagles had a massive win today. The Bombers have had a big win. So there's the top 4. All had great wins today. Then you got Hawthorn, who had a good win last night in Adelaide. The fight is on for the top 4 this year. There's 6 teams.
Melksham kicks the goal there as we analyse the ladder, and the Bombs extend it to 78 points. Tell you what, look at Collingwood on top of the ladder, and if they were to trip up, their percentage is not so good, and they'd slip to the bottom of that group of 5 teams.
Yeah, fascinating year, and there's also another factor that I think West Coast will find a way to be good enough to be in the top 4. You do not want to meet West Coast in the first final over there, because you're better off finishing 5th if they happen to finish on top of the ladder. Not that you're able to manufacture, you win as many games as you can, but
so they get the home final. 1-2 get the home final. So the Eagles would be busting for that top 2 position, wouldn't they? To get that clean run through to the grand final in Perth.
Can't see anyone beating them in a home final, the West Coast Eagles.
Pretty good. Richo already looking at home finals, and we've just got a few rounds of footy to go, but
no, just
difficult Richo to play West Coast.
Brian, I mean, you ask us to have a look at the ladder and analyse it, and we do it, and then you just want to shoot us down again.
Just likes getting ahead of himself there. Oh, Watson, a deft little touch, and quite come off the Jenner. Went and got himself. Drove off the outside of his boot. What a magnificently talented leader.
And I think that's just a little signal to the umpires. I'll take the 3 votes again tonight if you don't mind, says Joe Watson. That's 3 goals to go with his 30 possessions. Lingy, that's another best on ground performance.
Absolutely, Das. Let's just put it away. Put the medal around his neck now. He's been incredible in this first half of the year. Locked away another 3 votes tonight. So Joe Watson's already won the Brownlow. I'm putting it out there.
There it is, Lingy.
So I see we've got West Coast winning the grand final according to Richo, and might as well not have the Brownlow night because Joe Watson's got it according to Lingy.
You get strong opinions here Saturday night footy, BT. We don't sit on the fence. Hey, I'm with you, Lingy. He polls unbelievably well. You look at his track record Brownlow night, even when the side aren't winning, he just always polls. And he'll be a mile in front as we sit here in 14 rounds.
This is the Bombers' biggest score this year, 140 points. Handball out wide as Sherman unselfishly looking to get it to Dixon, and in front, Hocking with just the 1 claw. Essendon's biggest score for the year here right now.
Sammy Lee tweeting through Joe Watson for All-Australian captain this year. What a great leader.
I think he's got that summed up.
A lot of accolades coming his way with a fair bit of the year left to go.
Just perhaps not award the Brownlow just yet. Lingy.
I'm locking that one away, BT.
He's
not
very confident.
down.
I like it, Lingy.
We'll revisit this on Brownlow night, Lingy. I'm with you. You'd have a lot of votes at this stage.
You and Das are supporting me well. BT's going against us hard there.
Oh, I know, just not go off in the holster too early. Just hold back a little. There's just 9 games to go.
Yep, sorted Steve Hooker's Olympic campaign out earlier tonight. That was...
Yep. Get a bigger pole, Steve. 45 out. On the Dogs.
He's gone again. What is going on?
And I think it's the same umpire, Matthew Leppard, isn't it?
He needs to wear some
get the boy off.
He has gone down. I think we're going to put a package together after the game of that umpire. I think he's gone down 4 times tonight.
He has.
Gone down more times than Joe Watson. Bombers have won. Massively big win. An 84-point victory for the all-conquering Bombers. Let's get down to Cameron Ling. He's down there with Michael Hurley.
Hurls, in the end, a big win. Quality effort by the boys tonight.
Yeah, I thought we were fantastic. A few patches there went a bit quiet, like early in the 3rd quarter, but if we can get rid of them, we'll start playing some proper footy.
And I know you don't want to focus on individual stuff too much, but 6 goals last week, 5 goals this week. You must be wrapped with your own form.
Yeah, it's always nice to kick a couple, and had a really good break in the middle of the year, and it's paid off.
We did notice you had the wrist guard on and the glove on. What's the matter there?
It's a little bit swollen. We got stepped on last week, so tried to cover it up, but should be fine.
I appreciate your time, mate. Go enjoy yourself.
Thanks, mate.
Cameron Ling down there with Michael Hurley, and the Bomber fans are pretty ecstatic about this. Their 5th biggest win over the Western Bulldogs and their biggest win of 2012. And Essendon have won 4 of the last 5 also over the Western Bulldogs. The E.J. Whitten Cup will be presented here shortly by E.J. Whitten Jr.
Bombers have scored over 100 points in all matches they've won this year, and under 100 in all the games they've lost, and they are genuinely exciting to watch. Essendon play this great high-scoring brand of footy, take the game on. I reckon their ability to defend as well has just gone to another level, restricting the Bulldogs to only 8 goals tonight. So it's a pretty complete performance by a side that are inside the top 4, the live ladder, after 14 rounds.
The Essendon and Western Bulldog football clubs have played for the E.J. Whitten Cup, and I'd like to make a special presentation and welcome to the microphone Ted Whitten Jr. to present the cup to the winning captain, Jobe Watson.
Congratulations to the Bombers tonight on a great win. It's my pleasure now to present the E.J. Whitten Cup, played in memory of my father, to the captain of the Essendon Football Club, Jobe Watson.
I want to thank the supporters of both sides, the Western Bulldogs and the Essendon supporters, for coming out and supporting this, and the footy club, and thank you for all the support you've given us so far, and good luck to the Western Bulldogs the rest of the year. Thank you.
Gentlemen, Jobe Watson, E.J. Whitten and Peter Lesar, the MC, getting it done out there as well. Well, here tonight, the Bombers 21-14, 140, defeating the Western Bulldogs 8-8, 56.